Hi, Dawn Lewis here. Welcome to a brand new 7 Ways in 7 Days video series. We're talking 12 by 12 cardstock, and I'm using some sweet Stamp Shop Wizard stamps. I'm also using lime green cardstock, a Mama Elephant tri-window die, and sweet Stamp Shop dies. I'll be using my Misty stamping tool, double-sided tape in a variety of sizes, my bone folder, a craft sheet Memento Tuxedo Black, a variety of Copic markers, a circle punch. I will be using every scrap of this lime cardstock, and you will see all the measurements I've cut my main 12 by 12 pieces of card down to on the screen here. There are 3 pieces to this try pull out card, and these are the outer pieces. This is all my leftovers, and I'll be using them in future projects. I'm also cutting down a piece of A4 black cardstock to these measurements. If you want to get these all later, you can find them on the blog at dawnlewis.com.au. I'm also cutting down an A4 sheet of blending card, and that's what I'll be stamping and colouring on for this project today. So the last pieces are just some scraps left over, and you could use pretty much anything you like. I'm going to be featuring Twisted Citron Distress Ink fairly heavily. We're scoring at 3 7/8 inch. Now, I've scored the other side, but you actually don't have to. You could just make that one fold and then fold the other piece in to match, so you don't actually have to do that second score. The second piece is scored at 3 3/8 of an inch, and again, you don't actually have to do that second score. I guess it helps, but it's you want to score on the top of your cardstock. So the bone folder definitely helps here in getting a really good, crisp, sharp fold for this 3-tier pull out card. This is probably the most complicated interactive card I've ever made. I did not come up with this design. I've seen it around the traps and I wanted to have a go, and it was actually really very easy and quite fun. I learned a few lessons along the way, and I've kept the mistakes in to show you so you can learn from my mistakes. The next part to make the interactive is to do some cuts. So we're going 1 inch in from the fold and from the border and cutting a sort of a 2.5 inch line, and it's the same on each side. So I'll have a sketch for that on the blog as well. On the smaller piece, we're cutting a slightly smaller line from a 1/4 inch down to 2.5 inches. Again, it has 1 inch left and right, and this is for the sliding mechanism. So remember those 2 small pieces? I'm actually going to slide those through, and this is the slider. This is what makes everything go up and down. Now, we don't want to make it too tight, so what I've done is use my fingernail just to keep the fold a little away from the edge. We want that to slide freely. Now, when I first saw this, I thought it was crazy to have this loose at the back. I thought surely it needed to be secure, but no, it actually doesn't. It was amazing. I could have cut specific pieces. Now, you can notice this one's quite smaller, but it still works. It does a great job. Been playing with this card for a week now, and it actually works still beautifully, so you don't have to secure it at the back. I'm stamping with Memento Tuxedo Black because I'm doing a lot of Copic colouring. I've stamped the Phoenix from Grand Wizard onto my smallest piece. I'm using stamps from the Wizards set by Sweet Stamp Shop. I'll also be using the Magical Friends set in future projects as well. These are gorgeous, and if you're a fan of a particular young wizard, you might enjoy these sets. If you're looking for them in Australia, you can find them at dawnlewis.com.au. I've stamped sparkles and flames and, all those good things that go with phoenixes. I love this phoenix. I also cut a post-it note mask. I am stamping with some distress ink in Spice Marmalade and Abandoned Coral. I'm just making it darker at the bottom for the flames, and I love how it kind of blended out when I came over the whole thing with the Twisted Citron that's coming in from the edge, and then I actually took the Spiced Marmalade and I'm working that from the center out. It always looks good when you remove that mask. I'm just using a little manual masking for the hat. I didn't want to stop and cut out a mask for that one. And I'm going around all 3 of these cover pieces with the Twisted Citron, just lightly. I also decided to go around the edges of my green pieces as well, just to give it that real cohesive feel. And I think the finished result really, really was worth that extra effort to go around these. When you're going over the folded areas, you want to go front and back. Now, I've coloured with my Copic markers, and you can see all of the colours on the screen, and if you want a list later, you can find that over on my blog. There's a link below if you're watching this on YouTube. So I've coloured in the beautiful Phoenix with a very large variety of red or yellow reds. I just couldn't stop, and I've put some Wink of Stella clear over the top, and same with the stars. I've given these little wizard friends a particular look to go with a favorite book and movie series of mine. All of the colors are listed on the right. I did have some trouble with my warm grays. I'm actually, some of them are, the nibs are just completely wrecked, so it's time for some new nibs on those markers. I'm using the same color for Harry's grey vest as I'm using for all of the robes. I'm just keeping it lighter, so it's more grey than black, and I've gone with two tones for their Gryffindor scarves. I've used blue and a gel pen for his glasses, and I did actually come in later with a black glaze pen and then a white gel pen, and then some dimensional magic, whatever you call it, glossy accents. I'm sticking all of my coloured images onto the black panels. There's a beautiful even border on these. I absolutely love it. My dilemma here was that I had accidentally cut the white a little smaller, but you know what? It still works. It's just a larger black border on there. I'm using 3mm double-sided tape on my slider mechanism. Here is where I made my first mistake. I actually stuck this on back to front. What I wanted to do was keep all of the folds at the back and all of the sort of front pieces at the front. And yeah, I didn't think about that. So I've applied some tape to the right hand side and stuck that closed. I'm putting some more tape down the right hand side of the image. That piece on the left, I actually really didn't need that. And now it's occurring to me that, oh, hang on a second. When I slide that up, the image is going to be at the back. So all I've done was remove the entire thing. It gave the slider a little bit of a jolt, so I was just able to tease that back into action, and I've turned it around. So you need to just pay attention to which way you've got your pieces turned, and I've made it flush with the top. I am going to put a tab on that later. So I'm also going to apply 3mm double-sided tape to the next slider piece, and now that I've learned my lesson, I'm going to apply the tape so that that entire panel is closed, and that way the back of the slider mechanism isn't going to come loose. It keeps it nice and tidy. And when I remove the tape from the slider, I'm going to put the slider on the slider. And again, that inside piece of tape, I really didn't need that. It doesn't need the tape on the inside. So I'm taking that slider, I'm going to put the colored panel on there. So when you first slide this out, you get the Phoenix, and then you get the sorting hat. So it's really, really cool. So pop the first thing you want to be seen on that top panel, and the second thing you want to be seen on the middle panel, and that will certainly help. So we're going to actually place this down onto the slider mechanism face down, and it's up to you how far down you want to do it. You might notice here I'm having a little bit of a hesitation. It was upside down. Oh yeah, I had it upside down. So you want to make sure that that wide area is actually at the bottom and the very narrow area is at the top. That's how you know you've got it right way up. So now we're getting really close to the end, and it looks really complicated, but once you start, it's quite easy. This is lesson number 2. I should have checked the orientation of this largest coloured panel before I stamped and coloured. I got all gung-ho and I'm sticking away here and I'm putting down my double-sided tape. I used a few different tapes in this. I actually keep 3mm, 6mm and 12mm on my desk, and I used the 12mm for this because I really wanted, being interactive, I really wanted it to hold very, very well. And well, you might notice that this rectangle is tall and mine is wide. Whoops. Yeah, I wondered for a while, could I put it on sideways? And I just went, no. So I'm punching a 1-inch circle here. It's a Martha Stewart punch, but you can use any punch, and inking around the edge. And this is going to be my tab so that the pieces don't get lost down inside. And it's obvious that you need to grab a hold of this and pull it out. There's something exciting going to happen on this card. I have since made another one with a gorgeous Kindred stamp set. I will save that for another video though. It's just too fun. So I'm trimming down the double-sided tape. in hindsight, I could have just put tape on one side and not necessarily on both, but then I went, oh no, hang on, it's got to stick to the back and it's got to stick to the front. So we needed the entire circle covered in double-sided tape. So I'm just centering it up there. I'm going to secure it all down, and that's it. We're completely finished. You could write your greeting on the inside. You could write your greeting on the back. This is just heaps of fun. Or overall, first time making it, this took me about an hour and a half, but the second time making it was much faster. Here are the stamps that I used today: Wizards and Grand Wizard and Magical Friends by Sweet Stamp Shop. I've used the Try Window Die by Mama Elephant. I do hope you've enjoyed this series, and tune in for the rest of the week when I show you ways to use up all the rest of that piece of 12 by 12 cardstock. I don't know about you, but I have a lot. I do hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. If you did like it, please click like and subscribe so you catch the rest of this series. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye for now.